For these questions, you're going to complete an input-output table. The directions say to complete each input and output table using the data from the rectangles. Write an expression for each table. And remember, an expression is just a number sentence with a variable, or more than one variable sometimes. So let's look at some examples on how we would do this. So for number 1, I see an input-output table, but it looks a little bit different. And that's because it has 2 inputs. It says input 1 is the length of the side, and you can see that right here. So those are where the lengths are going to go. Input 2 is the width of the side, so that's where the widths are going to go. And the output is the perimeter. I'm calling this an input-output table, but another word for it is a dependent table. Input-output tables are sometimes called dependent tables because one thing depends on the other. The output depends on the inputs. In this case, the perimeter depends on the length and the width, or the area depends on the length and the width. The first thing we're going to do is write the expression so we can use that to help us fill in the table. So to write our expression, we need to write length. So the length and the width are going to come together with some kind of rule to create the perimeter. And so I know that rule is that when you have 2 lengths and you add them with 2 of the widths, it's going to equal the perimeter. So 2 sides plus 2 of the other sides equals the perimeter. And now all we have to do is get the data from the rectangles and fill it in. So I'm going to start with number 1. And I see that the length is 7 centimeters. So for the length, I'm going to write 7. And if I look back, I can see the width is 6. So I'm going to write 6 as the width. And now all I have to do is use these 2 numbers and substitute them for my variables, and that will give me the output or the perimeter. So if I have 2 lengths, then I really have 2 sevens, which makes 14. If I have 2 widths, I really have 2 sixes, which makes 12. And now if I just add 14 and 12, I get the perimeter. So the perimeter is going to be 26, and that is my output. So let's do another one. For number 2, I have a different shape. This time my length is 3 and my width is 2. So I'm going to come to my table and put those as my inputs, 3 and 2. But my expression isn't going to change. It's still going to be 2 of the lengths plus 2 of the widths equals the perimeter. So I can just substitute my lengths for my variables. So that means I have 2 of the 3's, and 2 3's make 6. And I have 2 of the 2's, so 2 2's make 4. And then to find the perimeter, I just add them up. So 6 plus 4 is 10. So my perimeter, or my output for number 2, is 10. So let's look at number 3. I have a length of 8 and a width of 5. So I'm going to fill that in, 8 and 5. And now I have my numbers to represent my variables. So I have 2 8's. So 2 8's is 16 plus 2 5's because my width is 5. So 2 5's make 10. So my perimeter is going to be 26. And that would be my output. And so that's how you would do all of the perimeter questions. But there's also number 2, the area questions. So we found the perimeter, and now this input-output table is going to change a little bit. So let's look at it. Now we have input 1 equaling the length and input 2 equaling the width. But the output is now the area, not the perimeter. So our expression is going to change a little bit. We just need to write an expression that if we did something with the length and the width, we would get the area. And that expression would be length times width equals area, because that's how we find the area. So now I'm going to take my data from my rectangles and just fill it in my table. So I have 7 as my length and 6 as my width. So if I take that 7 and that 6 and I substitute it down here, Instead of the L, I have a 7, and instead of the W, I have a 6. If I multiply those together, I'm going to get the area. So the area would be 42, and that would be the output. So let's look at number 2. Here I have a length of 3 and a width of 2. So if I substitute those in, for L, I'm going to have a 3, and for W, I'm going to have a 2. So when I multiply those, I get 6. So that means my area is going to be 6. Okay, so for number 3, I have a length of 8 and a width of 5. So if I substitute those in my expression, 8 is the variable L and 5 is the variable W. So if I multiply those together, I get 40. So the area is 40. All right, you try some on your own, and if you need help, you can come back and re-watch the video. Good luck!